What's up, College Station? I'm Grace Hollowell, and today I'm joined once again by Miss Jennifer Nations, the water
Hi.
chick. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi.
Hi. I am glad you're here.
Mm-hmm.
A big topic of conversation lately has been water.
Yes.
Which is you know so well, and you explain it so well for those of us that might not understand it.
Yeah.
And with us being in this stage 1 drought restrictions, there's a lot that goes into that.
Correct.
And it's an important topic, for one, and two, it's kind of something that if you're not familiar, or you might not watch the news or have social media, you might not know why these restrictions are in place. So I guess let's start off with the why do we have these restrictions?
Why do we have these restrictions? Okay, so the stage 1 drought, that refers to stage 1 of our drought contingency and water emergency plan. And all water utilities over 3,300 connections in Texas have to have these plans. And that's to prevent them from, having a situation like, I don't remember what year it was, but there was a small town kind of up in northwest Texas, and it was during a drought. It might have been 2011. And they completely ran out of water. And like a pipeline from another water supply had to be brought to that town to get water. Okay, so we don't want to get into that situation.
No, we do not.
So all the utilities are required to have these drought plans, and they have triggers based on, it's unique to each system, but triggers based on what is happening in the distribution system. We need to have enough water in our system to be able to fight fires, to handle sudden influxes of people, like when the students move in or when we have a home football game weekend or something. We don't want to have something like a water line break that then drains our towers. So when people are irrigating heavily, like they have been this summer and last summer, like our capacity is here and our demand gets up to here, and then we don't have any kind of a buffer. So we looked at our drought plan, and we have these triggers, and we looked at what was happening in our water production and distribution system. And on August 22nd, we decided, okay, we're going to go into stage 1 of our drought plan. And that means the biggest change is that people can only water 2 days a week, and we tell you what your days are based on the last number in your street address. Whereas I had been telling people all summer, just water 2 days a week, pick whatever days work for you. This time it was this.
Yes, because certain days we do see a spike in water usage, and if everybody's watering on those days, we could get into some trouble.
Correct, yeah. And that having the 2-day schedule, and we kind of, initially we were going to do something like odd numbers water on these 2 days and then even numbers water on these 2 days. But we noticed, and I had been pushing that over the summer, but we noticed that was kind of still making it too high on some days and not as high on other days. So then we went to a slightly different schedule of addresses ending in 0, 1, or 2, water on these days, and then 3, 4, 5, water on these days. I tried to make it something like, the first few numbers start on Monday and then do Thursday. And then the next set of numbers starts on Tuesday and then does Friday. Something somewhat logical for people to remember.
Right.
And then having the days and the addresses, that helps us with compliance also.
Yes, and then the time frame for when you're allowed to water is important too.
Yes, year-round, we've always had this, although not everybody knows this, but year-round, we've always had sprinklers NICS 10 to 6. So no watering between, or I should say no overhead spray irrigation between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. You can do drip irrigation and soaker hoses. You can, if you're holding a hose with your hand, you can do that anytime. But the irrigation system spraying water up in the air at noon wastes such a huge amount of water to evaporation, so we don't want to do that.
Yes, and it's not the best for your yard either.
Correct. Yeah. You want to get that water on the plants, not up in the air.
Right.
So, yeah.
So let's talk about, I know we have gotten a little bit of rain, and in my mind I would think, oh, well that helps us enough that maybe we can, start watering more, but that might not be the reality.
Right. We still want to look at what we're looking at now is a 7-day average. So we're looking backwards 7 days to see what the average daily water demand is. And it does drop in response to rain. It's even more closely associated with just temperatures. But of course, when we have rain, it cools off too. So if we see it trending down and it looks like it's going to continue to trend down, then the water department will talk with the city manager, and then we'll make a decision on whether or not we say, we're done. But even if we did, I wouldn't want people to go, oh, yay, we're out of stage 1. I'm going to water every single day.
Right.
Because then we get right back to where we were. And then also, if we're out of stage 1, it means that the drought is not as severe. So then you don't need to be watering as much as you were before anyway.
Right.
So, yeah, we just really want it to see it continue to just trend down.
And it's important for everybody to play a part for the greater good here. You might not think your one household water usage is making a difference, but it can.
Yeah, it really does. And it's and that's where I've tried to, we tried to look at were there just a few customers that were using a lot of water, and maybe we could just tell them to cut back, because that's kind of how many years ago it was. There would be a few very large properties that would use a lot of water, and we could tell them, hey, we're having high demand. Can you cut back a little bit? And then we would get a couple million gallons a day of savings. But this year it's just been, and last year too, we've had high demand for very long periods of time. So then it really does come down to everybody cutting back on their water use. And I wouldn't even want to say cutting back, but everybody just paying attention
and following the schedule.
Because I routinely will look at customer accounts and these are residential single-family homes that are not large, and they're using 80 to 100,000 gallons of water a month, which is not normal.
Right.
That's way too much. But they may not, if they just set it and forget it, if they water Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 5 a.m., all the time, their water bill is the same all the time, and they think, well, that's normal. It's not.
No.
Yeah.
And another big question that we get on social media comments whenever we talk about water is, well, why is the city still watering Veterans Park? Or they're not following the rules.
Mm-hmm.
But we use reclaimed water.
That's correct. Yeah.
So let's talk a little about what reclaimed water is and why that doesn't have to follow the schedule.
So the reclaimed water is water that comes from our Carter Creek wastewater treatment plant, and it's effluent. And sometimes people go, "Oh my God, ew, wastewater effluent!"
Ew.
It's treated wastewater. It's not quite drinking water quality standards, but it's treated to a very high degree. And then we do add some bleach to disinfect it before it goes on to the baseball fields. But any source of irrigation water that is not City of College Station potable water, the drinking water, that's not subject to the drought stage rules. So the reclaimed water would fall under that. And then similarly, the A&M golf course, they have their own system, so they're going to do their thing. And then the Pebble Creek golf course is watered with water from Carter Creek, the other side. So technically speaking, I guess that's wastewater effluent too. It's just coming downstream. But so that's not drinking water. So they might be watering it too, and that's not subject to the restrictions.
Well, if people have questions about these restrictions or the schedule, where can they find it?
They can go to cstx.gov/water, and we also have a blog post up that has the schedule. And I definitely encourage anyone who's watching this to share it on their social media, spam their friends with it, and make sure that everybody follows the watering schedule. And then I'm also in the process of revising our drought contingency plan. It's the renewal is due to the state next spring, so I'm open to feedback too. If people found the watering schedule hard to follow, or if they have ideas to get the message out, large commercial properties, for example, have they're not going to be able to water their entire property on just 2 days a week, but I'm open to suggestions on ways for them to help conserve too. So definitely give me feedback.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being
so much.
here. And that's what's up. Yay.
Okay. Yeah. Very good.
Yes, I know that's like the biggest comments, messages. Why are you watering Veterans Park?